We're also talking about vaping on the show this morning. There is a new report claiming the proportion of children who are vaping is on the rise, some being influenced by videos on social media platforms. They're getting into it. I mean, you would say, OK, it's supposed to be for people who want to give up smoking, but it's become a craze and of itself, really. So have your children vaping? Are they vaping? Do you think they're addicted? There are some worries, I know, among some parents. Deborah Arnott is from ASH, the Action on Smoking and Health group.
The ASH survey shows a near doubling in underage vaping over the last year, from 4% to 7%. But the vast majority of children have never vaped or only done it once or twice. Vaping is much less harmful than smoking, so for anyone who's a smoker, switching to vaping is the right choice. However, we'd rather children didn't smoke or vape. What's needed is more enforcement, and that requires the government to put more money into trading standards. Plus, the disposable vapes that have surged in popularity over the last year are brightly coloured, pocket-sized products with sweet flavours. No wonder they're attractive to children. That shouldn't be allowed for products which are only meant to be used by adults.
You hear stories of kids putting their hands up in class and they don't want to go to the toilet, and that's what they're saying, but they want to go and vape. The addiction is such, and these things fit in the pencil case, etc., etc. Now, Kent Trading Standards have been cracking down on illegal e-cigs. They've been finding products for sale that contain higher levels than legal of nicotine. So let's get more. Let's talk to Oliver Jewell, Principal Trading Standards Officer at KCC. Oliver, welcome to the Wake Up Call. I know vapes have been around for quite some time. They still feel quite new. Can you describe then what makes a vape illegal?
Morning, Anna. Yeah, so the UK regulations, they set out that a disposable vape can be a maximum size of 2 millilitres and has a maximum strength of 20 milligrams per milliliter. So what we're seeing disposable vapes out on the shelves, sometimes up to 6 times that quantity. I think we've seen some even higher than that. And there are some products out there in higher strengths than the 20 milligrams. So, I think we've seen some up to 50 milligrams per milliliter.
Wow. And why do we have these limits on nicotine?
They came about roughly 6 years ago with the tobacco-related product regulations. It was sort of rules that were put in force just to ensure that we had consistency, and it was deemed that those were the safe levels.
I see. And what about the age at which one can buy an e-cigarette?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you have to be 18 to buy e-cigarettes. I mean, there are some exemptions which could be out there for medical products, but I don't think they're widely available at this point in time. So yeah, you have to be 18. You shouldn't be buying e-cigarettes for younger people. There's offences for people who sell e-cigarettes to young people, and like with other products for proxy sales. So if you're buying an e-cigarette for a young person and passing it on.
But I suppose the problem there is, well, what about the internet? It might be problematic. If you go into a shop, the shopkeeper is going to do the right thing, ask for ID. But online, it's a bit of a minefield, isn't it?
Absolutely. But we do work with our partners and with retailers to ensure they have the correct measures in place. So there are some sort of quite sophisticated systems out there to ensure that the person buying is of legal age. So checks that are made in the background to do that and prevent young people from being able to access e-cigarettes online.
It's very difficult, though, because surely they can lie, they can use their parents' identity, etc.
I don't profess to be a technical wizard as to how that all works in the background, but I believe relies on credit checks. There's different levels of checks you can put into place, whether it's the use of credit cards or specialist couriers that will be checking for identification on delivery. So there are various methods in place that can stop young people from accessing e-cigarettes.
They've spotted the problem, indeed. So on the ones that are sort of illegal in terms of quantity and stuff, how do you know, and whose responsibility is it? So is it the person who goes into the shop and buys the thing, or presumably it's the shop owner, and how are they supposed to know and tell?
So in terms of, how do we spot them? The disposable e-cigarettes, they quite often quote themselves as a number of puffs, and it isn't a technical science, but so 600 is roughly what you see as almost an industry standard as to what would be a 2 milliliter puff. That's not to say you're definitely going to get 600 puffs out of it, but a quick scan of the shelves, when you see anything above 600 puffs, that's an immediate indicator to us that there could be a problem with that product. What we have done in Kent, we developed a checklist for the retailers to use so that they can make some checks themselves. And we've been going out recently. We recognise that some of these things aren't completely obvious for a complete novice to spot. So we're handing out these checklists and talking them through with the retailers so they can make these checks for themselves and make sure that they're only buying compliant products.
And would you imagine that as you are cracking down on this, there's more perhaps of a likelihood that these illegal products will go into the black market?
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, that is the message to retailers that this non-compliant product will still exist. We do hear anecdotally of white van men coming around and offering these products to retailers, telling them it's the next biggest craze and they should stock it. What we're finding when we go in and speak to some of these retailers, I mean, we ask for invoices as to where they got them. They don't have anything, and that is the most important thing for us. We're not trying to punish the local retailer who might have innocently bought something. We want to find where the supply chains are coming into the country so we can tackle it higher up.
It's about awareness, indeed. And Oliver, granted, you don't work in the medical profession, but do you know about the risks that some of these products might have if they contain very high nicotine levels?
As I say, I'm not a medical professional, but
sure.
The system in place is that all e-cigarettes, before they go on sale in the UK, they should be registered with the MHRA, the Medicines Healthcare Regulatory Agency. So part of that process is that they have to notify all the ingredients that are in the product. So that is the checkpoint. If there's anything that is known to be harmful, it will get flagged at that point. So again, the message is these products which are illegal because they're over the capacity, there's an immediate flag that they won't have been through the checking process, and as a user you simply don't know what's going to be in those.
Yeah, and just as an aside before you go, Oliver, I suppose it's worth noting is that I've been told the UK has got some of the strictest e-cigarette regulations actually in the world. Like, marketing is banned pretty much. The amount of nicotine is limited, as you say, and of course we've got that age restriction as well. So we're quite sharp on this.
That's it. I mean, ultimately, the work that we do in trading standards, we want to make sure that users who want to use e-cigarettes as an alternative to smoking, they can be assured that e-cigarettes are as safe as possible as an alternative for them. Absolutely, we don't want, certainly don't want young people to take up using e-cigarettes. And if you've never smoked, you shouldn't be touching an e-cigarette because you are just getting yourself addicted to nicotine potentially.
Interesting stuff. Listen, Oliver, thank you so much for joining us this morning.